Hello, so today we're going to be going over 15.4b. These are going to be the patch notes for the upcoming patch for TFT, which should be live right around when this video gets uploaded. It's supposed to come out later tonight, but if you're looking forward to that patch, I'll let you know everything that's changing and how I think that's going to shift up what you want to play on the current patch. If you like my content, make sure to like and subscribe, because normally I'm doing daily TFT guides and or some more for fun content. How to play guides, I'm working on the item guide that's going to be out this week sometime, but of course, because there's patch notes, I'm going to do the patch notes and then best comps tomorrow to give you guys a good level playing field footing so you know what to do on the current patch. And additionally, if you want to see gameplay, Everybody Gaming VODs, if we get to 1,000 subscribers, we'll do an RP giveaway. Anyways, so big changes are happening to 2 costs. The current patch is extremely reroll focused. If I were to make a best comps guide today before the patch happens, it's basically force a reroll or go 8th. Like, it's very reroll dominated, and whenever there's patches that some reroll units are good, what ends up happening is they're really strong in their mid game because you're spending your gold early. They're very strong in their late game because you hit really early because everybody's playing this reroll unit, so then it makes it so that everybody hits a little bit faster, right? You're thinning out the pool. If you buy a bunch of Jins, then the person who's playing Kaisa won't see Jins in their shop, and they're gonna more likely see Kaisas, and vice versa if you add more and more units to the mix, and it becomes very toxic very fast. So this patch is kind of trying to address that issue, try and shift it to more of a balanced state of game where there are some viable reroll lines that you can play from a good spot, as well as some other style of gameplay so that you have some default or other options if you don't have a reroll spot. So, addressing all the major reroll lines that are 2 costs, Jin, Kaisa, and Rakan usually paired with Xayah. So for Jin, 4th shot damage is going to get decreased. The Jin nerfs don't seem that crazy, so I think Jin is getting pretty, it's going to be in a pretty alright spot. The thing is that it's only the 4th shot damage that's getting nerfed here. So that actually might make Jin be a little bit better with Spirit Sword. So before Jin, there was like Spirit Sword where it empowers all of his moves and it makes him do extra magic damage as a power-up fruit. And then there's also Artistic KO, which specifically makes overkill damage transfer and empowers the 4th shot. So with the 4th shot being decreased a little bit, you might maybe want to play a little bit more of like the crit Spirit Sword build, and that might be a little bit more popular. But all in all, I think Jin, not too bad, just maybe a little bit less stable, playing from a little bit better of a spot. Next we have Kaisa. Kaisa's getting what I would say pretty substantial nerf to the damage. So Kaisa is a unit that kind of scales infinitely. She has a really potent ability to win out in a late game because of that, because she's constantly scaling her AD. She already got nerfed last patch. It didn't seem that meaningful, but this time it's like around like 12% or like 10% at least. It's like a pretty substantial hit across the board. So, you know, it's not you know, it's similar in the same as like Jin, but Jin still has the fallback of some different types of builds. But I think now with Kaisa, you really want to have that Kaisa early. I think before you can get by playing Kaisa starting like stage 3 and not worry too much about your stage 2 stacks and stuff like that. Kaisa might be a lot more dictated by like hitting the Kaisa and also having items for the Kaisa early. Because before, if you had a Kaisa, you can just pop a fruit on her, call it a day, fix your items later. The items might be a little bit less free flowing. You might need like the actual like proper crit builds or like proper mana gen in order for it to actually function as well as she used to. And then last we have some Rakan damage nerfs. So Rakan, if you didn't know, you usually built him with Archangels, and he kind of like infinitely healed and popped off really hard later. They're nerfing his damage to make that less of a problem. He's getting severely nerfed in my opinion on the 2-star, which really hurts the stability of the comp, because a lot of times you're like staying on 2-star until you hit the 3-star. So the Xayah Rakan reroll or fan service reroll, big nerf to the amount of damage the Rakan does, so he's not going to be able to clutch up that easily. So maybe the Archangel build won't be as crazy anymore, but I still think like at least from this alone, it's not going to change that much. But there are other nerfs to the comp, so stay tuned. Don't worry, it's not just a Rakan damage nerf. There's other big nerfs to that comp. In terms of 3 costs, Malzahar, 2 changes. First change that's pretty big, he can no longer be offered Shadow Clone as a power-up. So if you're looking for Malzahar and you're looking for Shadow Clone, stop looking for Shadow Clone, because he's not going to get it. they got rid of it. Shadow Clone used to be really broken because Malzahar's passive had an effect where, like, if he marks different units, then he'll always hit like an unmarked unit, and then he does damage over time, and it basically hits the whole board, and it was really broken. You could snipe backline, blah blah blah. Shadow Clone allowed that to work way better, obviously, because you have a second Malzahar that's applying those marks to other units. You can put them on two opposite sides of the boards, and it would do insane damage. Some people even speculate that Shadow Clone was bugged, because sometimes the clone would do so much damage in certain fights that it looked like it was just like it was resetting some sort of like the scale down effect of Shadow Clone. I don't know about that part, but we don't have to worry about it no matter what, because it's no longer be offered on Malzahar. Additionally, Malzahar is getting a nerf to his damage across the board. The damage nerfs, I feel like, are pretty substantial on the 2-star version, because usually with Malzahar, a 1-star or 2-star version, you can often streak or win out on stage 2, stage 3, and even sometimes on stage 4. But without Shadow Clone now, and without like the 2-star stability, I think that this comp is going to be a little bit more situational. Now, 3-star Malzahar, I feel like the nerfs, relatively speaking, aren't that massive. So if you have a spot for Malzahar reroll, like an actually good spot, or if you have something like, you know, Prismatic Ticket, or what's the thing, Rigged Shop, where you're getting a lot of 3 costs in your shop, I still think the comp will function. Obviously, the Shadow Clone and the AP nerfs are big, but you often relied on Darius or Jace as 3-stars as well to compensate and allow you to have some of that late game damage and like effects of, like, you know, dealing with the opponent's board. So I still think that Malzahar has the potential to stay relevant. It just might not be a see Malzahar, play Malzahar, me Malzahar deafen if you get him on instantly on stage 2, which is what the patch currently was. If you saw a Malzahar, you always played it. It was just so broken, and you can even fast 9 with like a Malzahar 2. I think that part is getting significantly nerfed, which is nice. Now, in terms of 4 costs, 4 costs kind of fell off really hard. Part of the reason why 4 costs felt really awful to play is because, obviously, if you're playing around 4 costs and everybody's playing reroll, the reroll players, they all help each other hit. They all hit their units ahead of tempo. You're losing a lot of HP in the mid game because you have to save your money to play for a 4 cost and to level, and everybody else is just sending it to 0 because they're trying to find copies of the reroll units, upgrade their units, and then they have really strong boards. With the nerfs to some of the 2-cost lines, hopefully those are going to be a little bit less apparent, and now there's going to be some compensation buffs to some of the 4-cost lines to make them a little bit more relevant. First buff is to Ashe. This one I think is pretty substantial. Base AD going from 60 to 65. Now, base AD is a lot. Like, that is a good amount of extra damage. Most units, when you adjust base AD by like 5, it can change a unit from being like one of the worst units in the game to being one of the best units in the game. This is something that exists in multiple patches of TFT. Sometimes it's okay, sometimes it's like whatever, but a lot of times it actually can make a unit broken. So seeing this change on Ashe, which I already think wasn't that bad, she was like pretty bad just because she had bad matchups into the reroll lines, but if the reroll lines are less common and you can actually like play around Ashe a little bit more, I definitely think this is going to be like giga strong. Like Ashe, like either with the Colossal Udyr or from a Crystal Gambit spot, I think is going to be in a really dominant spot or a really powerful spot. We'll see, because obviously I haven't played the patch yet, but when I play the patch, like, I'm pretty sure Ashe will be one of the more staple comps, so long as the reroll comps are nerfed enough that they're not completely dominant and relevant, right? Additionally, Leona getting a mana buff. So basically the denominator is getting smaller, meaning that she's going to cast more frequently, and a similar change to Karma. These changes I feel like are less impactful. I think Leona could work in a lot of comps. Obviously you can play around the Yuumi board, but I think that the damage from the Yuumi board just doesn't hold up as much. It really just comes down to whether or not the reroll lines are still there, because like for example Karma playing Karma carry, or Leona playing around like Battle Academia or something like that, the reroll lines that exist with really hard to chew through front lines, those are issues for like the Battle Academia boards and the Karma board, for example, because Karma, especially with Sorks or even as a main carry in like some other type of Mighty Mech board, you really wanted to get the kill so she can start like getting that disc onto other units and get the Sork procs to hit other units. So even though the mana change is pretty nice, that she's going to get some casts off a little bit earlier, maybe she can stack some casts, works really well with Efficient and some of her other fruits, she still gets Shadow Clone, they didn't remove it from her, so obviously those are all going to help her damage output, but I don't think Karma, like, at least to me, 5 mana on Karma doesn't, to me, immediately scream that she's broken, unless like the complete landscape of what people are playing, like if all the 2 costs are like completely unplayable and you have to play 4 costs, like unless something like that happens. The only one that I see here that's like really shocking to me is the Ashe, is what I would say off initial read and initial look at what's going on. Now let's talk about augments. Tiny team, this augment, like honestly, go fuck yourself. Like this augment is so unbelievably stupid. But basically, I put the original augment here so you guys can see. Basically, if you field 3 or less Star Guardians, you increase the Star Guardian bonuses. That bonus now is going from 200% to 150%. This augment, like, you know, I'm normally on this channel, I'm always like, hey, you know, this is all right. You could play this. This is high cap, but this is fine. You can play for 4th. I'm a very flexible, and I try and like give you guys like good work ethics and like intuitive play of TFT to try and make you better at the game, because like that's how I do my guides. This augment was so broken. Like, I was gonna make a separate video on it. You literally just hard force all the time if you see it. If you see Tiny Team, you never skipped it on the current patch. So it definitely needed a nerf. Honestly, I would be happy if they just removed it from the game. But basically what they did is they buffed this so much, and then they changed the way Star Guardian worked, so that the buffs were more tied to lower level Star Guardian, and then they nerfed the like total bonus of Star Guardian. So Tiny Team was just absolutely obnoxious on the previous patch. It was so broken that you can get a top 4, or I've seen people top 3 with Xayah 2, Rakan 2, contesting Xayah Rakan, because how broken Tiny Team was. They just 100 streak because they just get so much value off of it. Because you get so much bonus. The Xayah does so much magic damage. You get so much attack speed if you play a Jinx. Additionally, if you had like a Jinx board, it made like Jinx level 8 boards possible as well. I had a game where I was playing Xayah Rakan. I had 5 copies of Rakan and 3 copies of Xayah. Some guy had 0 copies of either on 3-2, so much later in the game. Hits Tiny Team, sends it to 0, hits Xayah 2, Rakan 2, and just win streaks the rest of the game. I didn't hit Xayah Rakan. That guy went first. That's how broken Tiny Team was. So from that perspective, I still think this augment will be good. Even though they nerfed it from 200% to 150%, it was so broken on the previous patch. In my experience, I think that this will still be strong. Now, obviously, Rakan got nerfs, and we might see there's going to be some more nerfs to Xayah Rakan. Don't worry. I would warn you guys that I still think this augment's going to be good, and it might be good from like a Jinx spot instead, right? Like playing it with like Jinx, or like a Jinx Malzahar line, which was somewhat common, or a Jinx Bastion, or a Jinx Protector. Like there was a couple builds where you would play Tiny Team with those lines because of how strong it was. I think those will still be good, because the way that they rework Star Guardian really favors playing lesser a less number of Star Guardians and getting the Tiny Team bonus. So I just want to put that out there. So I'm giving you guys a big explanation. So even though it's big nerf, I still think this augment will be good. It just might not be broken that you instant click it, but like, you know, if you're a Tiny Team enjoyer, I wouldn't freak out. Anyways, power-ups. These ones are some big ones. So fan service was the power-up that you play with Xayah and Rakan. This is where like the Xayah Rakan line's getting pretty much triple nerfed, right? Tiny Team got nerfed, this gets nerfed, and Rakan got nerfed. So I think that line's going to be a lot less common. It's not going to be like giga broken that you're always playing it. But fan service HP getting dropped and fan service resist getting dropped. There's also a bit, it feels like a bit larger of a change on the 2 fan service, right? From 300 to 225, from 15 down to 10. So I think that makes it a little bit more temperamental. Like you really want to play it from a good Xayah spot and a good Rakan spot rather than just playing it from whenever. I still think the comp might be playable. There are still augments that didn't get touched here, like Double Trouble. I think Double Trouble Xayah Rakan will still be really strong. If you get like Exodia, Double Trouble, and Tiny Team or something, then obviously it's going to be broken. So that one, you know, just keep it in mind. But in general, I would be a little bit more skeptical about like hard forcing Xayah Rakan unless I had like a really good Xayah Rakan spot, because of all the changes and nerfs to it. Additionally, Socialite has been removed. I talked about Socialite a lot. Pretty much every comp that you can play Socialite, it's the perfect and best power-up you can get. If you didn't understand or know that, I put in a lot of my videos. If you disagreed with me, you were wrong. This power-up was so broken. It was completely necessary on a lot of the comps that used it, and now it's getting removed. It getting removed, to me, is a good thing, obviously, because like you don't want that in the game. It's just too screwed up. But I think the bigger problem is that Rise was really dependent on it. So I don't know how things are going to shape up as of right now with like 4 cost versus reroll, because obviously it's hard to tell. Like Jin and Kaisa, are they still going to be like really good? If people are still playing them and Malzahar is still good, then it still might be pretty reroll heavy the next patch. I don't know for sure. But with Rise especially, Rise got nerfed last patch, and Socialite got nerfed last patch. So, in my opinion, the only way to really play the Rise board on the current patch and keep up with all the other comps was to have Socialite with it. So now that they remove Socialite, I don't know how good that comp's gonna be, because Socialite was so good. Like, it made the comp from, like, in my opinion, like a mid, like maybe play for like a 5th type of comp to like you're playing for first. Like, it was that much of an improvement. It literally changed your placements by like 2 or 3. If you were going 5th and you had Socialite, you were going 3rd. You know what I mean? Like, that level of powerful. And I think a lot of people agree with that. Like, when you read like other people's comments about it, like patch notes and stuff like that. So I don't know how it's gonna behave, because obviously if a lot of people are playing 4 cost, then it's obviously gonna have a place in the meta. But I think that's the only one that I'm a bit worried about, that might be like completely outclassed now. And then for those of you that didn't know, Veteran had a lot of bugs. These are the ones where you would put it on a unit, they would become a mentor unit. Some people think that it was like strong or it was like good, but it just didn't function properly. Like, sometimes you just didn't get bonuses and shit like that. So you should have never clicked it. Now it's just temporarily disabled until they fix the bug. So that's a good thing, because if you didn't know it was bugged, you were just griefing your own game by accident. And then additionally, just some other bug fixes. Drift Duo didn't work properly if you put on Senna. Now it works properly. And then I'll Be the Legs properly shows up if you can get the other augments. But that's just like another meme build or whatever. But anyways, those are all the changes. I'm going to do the best comps tomorrow early in the day. I want to do it today because obviously I wasn't capable, because I'm recording this video and the patch still isn't out yet. By the time the video is uploaded, the patch will be out, but I'm not going to be playing. So, you know what I mean? I want to play a little bit on the patch, make sure that I have an informed opinion, so I'm not just clickbaiting you guys. And then I'll do the best comps tomorrow, hopefully earlier than I normally upload, so you guys have, like, you know, the information ahead of time, so to speak. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hopefully I explained the patches to you guys now. I really hated the last patch, like, so I was just taking a break from playing TFT. You know, I was going to do a puzzle stream tomorrow, but now I have to stream TFT because all my daily videos for my VOD channel have to be deleted because they don't work anymore because it's a new patch. So, you know, catch me playing TFT, I guess, on the Twitch. But yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow with the best comms. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. See ya. Bye-bye.